Howdy friendos, my name is Stuart and welcome to our bonus video for D&D December. Originally I wanted to do a video day leading up to Christmas, but that didn't happen. However, thanks to some excellent helpers, we managed to get one more video out just in time for Sonic the Hedgehog 3. Before we begin, I'd like to give a huge thank you to the people who made this video possible. And that is, of course, our editor, Anthony. He's done a lot of work for us in the past, and he's always gone above and beyond for us, and he's just such a pro about the work, and he's always given us a good deal on edits and re-edits, and he's just immensely talented, and frankly, just too good for me. And I just want to say thanks, man. Appreciate you. And the second person I'd like to thank is Josh Scorcher, aka the Fiery Joker. I've actually done quite a bit of work with Josh over the years. We've teamed up on a Kefka video, and he's one of the co-designers for the Complete Waifu Handbook. Plug. He's the guy who handled all the Pathfinder 2e content. Also, he's a very talented and fun YouTuber in his own right, making top 10 videos with a consistent pace and quality that is frankly making me want to improve my own style. But you know what? I'm going to let him introduce himself.
Hiya, I'm Josh Scorcher. I make countdowns of various gaming topics. I've been a guest on this channel a few times, notably with the Kefka video, and I've helped with a lot of Pathfinder 2e translations of his work. Here's our Christmas gift to you as a great cap-off to the Year of Shadow. Now, Shadow has a bit of a complicated history, yay. Around 50 years ago, Professor Gerald Robotnik was assigned Project Shadow by the government to create immortality and/or an ultimate life form to use as a weapon. Gerald agreed to the project not only because of his ideal of advancing humanity's understanding, but because he saw it as a promising way to cure his ailing daughter Maria. But time went on and he was getting nowhere fast, so Black Doom shows up with a Faustian bargain. He offers his blood for usage in Project Shadow in return for the 7 Chaos Emeralds being delivered to him when he and his Black Arms return in 50 years. Gerald agrees, but secretly makes preparations against them because, come on, sketchy as hell. But the blood donation works, and Shadow the Hedgehog is born.
Shadow begins his life on the Ark and quickly forms a bond with Maria. So I know most of us are used to edgy, morally gray Shadow of the present day, but he really didn't start out that way. He was very compliant with the research team aboard the station, and he was very protective of Maria and, pretty much everyone on the Ark at this point. Given that he's trying to fulfill his duty to be a boon for humanity as well as trying to uphold Maria's ideals, we're actually going to be starting Shadow off right on the line of lawful, neutral, and lawful good. But trust me, he's not going to stay there long.
Really makes you wonder what kind of person Shadow would have turned out to be if Maria wasn't killed. Also, this is important, the video game Shadow the Hedgehog gets a little weird because of the branching paths obscuring what actually happens. However, some dedicated fans have pieced together an unofficial canon route based on referenced events across the game series. That route is number 153, Together with Maria, and for the sake of consistency, we'll be using this path for the analysis. Also, even though the IDW comics are canon and peak, we won't be taking them into account here. And with all that out of the way, let's go.
You stole my line!
Give me back my passport! Why do you want to go to Mexico?
I just love Latinas, Sonic.
What?
Adios, amigo.
We're kind of splicing footage here since true continuous footage before the events of the games don't really exist outside of brief flashbacks. Shadow plays with Maria, but then chides her about exerting herself too much. He then angsts a little about not being able to do what he was born to do, help people, especially Maria. If that isn't lawful good, I don't know what it is. Also, I really love these animations they made in preparation for Sonic X Shadow Generations. Nat 20 footage. Just can't get over how good this looks.
Emerald gets aboard the Ark and causes a few explosions. Shadow realizes that he's heading for Gerald and confronts the intruder without much hesitation. You could make the argument that he's doing it for Gerald to save Maria, but at this point Shadow wants to be helpful. So I'm going to say lawful good, but if you want to insist on anything adjacent, I wouldn't argue.
Shadow, help me!
Maria?
Another explodey incident where experiments with artificial chaos run amok on the Ark. Maria asks Shadow to help them, and Shadow agrees. He actually works with the gun forces here to suppress their attacks and checks on Gerald to make sure he's alright. Again, lawful good.
This is the Guardian Units of Nations. Prepare to be boarded.
The incident with artificial chaos is likely the reason why Gerald's dealings with the Black Arms got leaked to Gun. And rather than sit down and discuss this like civilized people, Gun decided on one step below the nuclear option. While most of the inhabitants of Ark were simply sent down to Earth, everyone involved on Project Shadow was executed, except for Gerald, who was taken into custody.
Maria and Shadow attempt to flee. At Maria's beckoning, Shadow manages to rescue some of the researchers while trying to escape. Lawful good.
Maria is also executed, right in front of Shadow. He is ejected to Earth where his body is recovered by Gunn and put into stasis for 50 years. Gerald, still alive at this point and driven to madness and despair by Maria's death, began secretly brainwashing Shadow into believing he was meant to destroy humanity. Now, this gets tricky. Shadow is clearly following Gerald's programming, but it seems like he wants to follow through with it out of vengeance for Maria. The alignment discussion is a question of behaviors and beliefs. Now, even though Shadow has been in stasis for about 50 years and has literally done nothing during that time, he still gets an alignment shift because his mind is being twisted by this brainwashing. Because he's motivated by grief and a manipulated memory, we're gonna give him 5 chaotic evils, one for every decade for this.
Is that you, Sonny? Are you trying to spoil my plans again?
Shadow is eventually broken out by Eggman. Shadow fibs to the Doctor, telling him he'll help Eggman take over the world with his wish-granting powers. Bizarre line, but amusing. And is secretly using him. Shadow explains that he needs the Chaos Emeralds to pull this off, and they'll meet later on the Space Colony Arc, Neutral Evil.
It all starts with this. A jewel containing the ultimate power.
Shadow steals the green Chaos Emerald from a bank and frames Sonic for it. Hilariously enough, by accident. Also, I love the look that Shadow is giving Sonic here, who's getting mad at him for framing him, and it's like, fool, we're nothing alike, and if they're getting us mixed up, it says more about them and about me.
I will show the glorious achievement of what the world's leading scientist, Professor Gerald, has created.
In the command room of the Ark, Shadow and Eggman discuss the secretly built Eclipse Cannon, a weapon capable of destroying Earth, powered by Chaos Emeralds. Rouge the Bat breaks into the room and overhears the plan. She inserts herself into the story, offering to help steal emeralds for them. They then arrive at Prison Island. There, Shadow, alongside Rouge, plants explosives all over the island. Along the way, he gets into a scuffle with Sonic, which ends in a stalemate. We're going to give him a neutral evil for casual acts of terrorism, as well as a chaotic neutral for fighting Sonic. Almost as a matter of pride. Although low-key, Sonic is the instigator here.
However, Rouge gets stranded and trapped after obtaining the other emeralds. Shadow rushes to get to Rouge and, by extension, the Chaos Emeralds. Now, Shadow could have left Rouge to die and just grab the emeralds from the wreckage, but he went back since she reminded him of Maria. Neutral good for saving Rouge, but chaotic evil for blowing up the island. Now with 6 Chaos Emeralds, they use the Eclipse Cannon to destroy part of the moon. Neutral evil.
This is strange. It's showing energy readings from 2 separate Chaos Emeralds.
Sonic and the gang arrive on the Ark to confront Team Dark. However, Eggman discovers the presence of 2 apparent emerald readings. Since they already have 6 of them, they deduce that Tails' plan involves placing a fake Chaos Emerald into the cannon. Hearing this, Shadow departs to confront Sonic and Tails and to stop them from interfering. But Eggman stops him, wanting to deal with them personally. Given Shadow's just being compliant here, I guess lawful evil?
I have 6 of them. They're mine. All mine.
I don't think so.
Shadow stumbles upon Rouge's plan to steal the Chaos Emeralds and realizes she's actually a government spy. Before he can act, Rouge reveals a report from Gerald Robotnik about the Bio-Lizard, claiming it, not Shadow, is the real ultimate life form. Shadow is shaken, but ultimately asserts that he's still Shadow, even if his memories are fake. Despite this crisis of identity, he stays committed to his world destruction plan, fully aware that his motives might be built on lies. That's straight up chaotic evil. However, sparing Rouge after discovering her betrayal and not ratting her out earns him a chaotic neutral as well.
I thought that capsule you were in exploded in space.
You know, what can I say? I die hard.
Shadow discovers that Sonic survived being ejected into space, which genuinely impresses him. Sonic's ability to pull off the impossible earns him his begrudging respect. But it doesn't stop Shadow from immediately trying to kill him. Also, I don't care how poorly it's aged, this confrontation in this little runway here was pure cinema growing up. Nat 20 scene, neutral evil.
Shadow, I beg of you, please, do it for me. Maria!
If you complete both Hero and Dark stories after the Eclipse Cannon was powered by the Emeralds, this awakens the Bio-Lizard that was foreshadowed by the earlier Ding. Gerald Robotnik's plans to destroy the planet come to light, and Shadow does nothing to help both the teams from stopping the Ark and destroying Earth. Chaotic evil. Amy then helps Shadow realize Maria's true wish was to save humanity. His true memories come flooding back, and he goes to aid Sonic by fending off the Bio-Lizard. Choosing to uphold another's ideals ahead of your own personal vendetta is lawful good. We are back, baby!
Live and Learn gets a Nat 20 ding for a Nat 20 song because Live and Learn is awesome.
Shadow and Sonic transform into their super forms, working together to save the Earth despite the risks of their own lives. Unfortunately, Shadow's energy depletes before he can get back to safety. In his final moments, Shadow finds peace, content that he has honored Maria's dream of protecting humanity. This act of self-sacrifice and fulfillment of his duty is a definitive lawful good.
In Sonic Heroes, Shadow is revealed to have survived. Somehow. He wasn't a super form at the time, I guess. At this point, Shadow has no memory of anything other than his name and flashes of Maria's death. Upon waking up, he is attacked by Omega and immediately gets Rouge out of harm's way. Shadow tries to defend himself, and the three eventually realize that they have a common enemy in Eggman and form Team Dark. Neutral Grid for immediately protecting Rouge, and True Neutral for forming a truce with Omega.
Man, who are those creeps over there?
And you are...
On their way to Eggman on Grand Metropolis, Team Dark encounters Team Chaotic and begins fighting against them as Rouge suspects them to be searching for Eggman's treasure. Shadow doesn't seem to have an opinion on this part, so mostly he's just following Rouge's lead here, so True Neutral.
After the battle against the Egg Albatross, Shadow discovers that there are robot clones of him, which really isn't helping his amnesia and self-confusion right now. But after a second to process it, Shadow chooses to proceed forward anyway. True Neutral.
Didn't you know? We have a date with Eggman, too.
Is that so? Well then, it'll be a date to die for.
Hey, that's my line.
In Lost Jungle, Team Dark encounters Team Sonic. The two begin to taunt each other for really no reason at all, and they fight for really no reason at all. I mean, I appreciate the boss battle, but this is never addressed. Chaotic Neutral.
All the teams arrive at the Egg Fleet. Shadow makes up his mind to defeat Eggman once and for all, even if he was not truly the ultimate life form. Resolving to do the right thing, even if you're still grappling with an identity crisis, is neutral good.
Hey, Omega, did I ever tell you that Shadow is a robot and... Oh, never mind. Good luck.
After Eggman was seemingly defeated, Shadow remarked that Rouge's desire to steal the Master Emerald from Knuckles as she was explaining her next plan is nothing strange for him, implying some of his memories have returned. Being indifferent to your friend's rapscallion ways is True Neutral.
We'll buy you some time. That way you can use your superpowers.
Shadow gladly gives up his Chaos Emerald to Sonic and assists the other teams in taking down Neo Metal Sonic. After the battle, Shadow and Omega are holding the defeated Metal Sonic, wondering what to do with it. Helping save the world is neutral good, and not immediately exterminating Metal Sonic despite all he did to them is, I want to say, chaotic good, I guess? This honestly doesn't lead anywhere, and also we get some foreshadowing for a future game with Shadow clones that we see on Eggman's ship. However, there are way more than 4 shadows there. However, Rouge hid this from Shadow in order to run her own investigation, so no dings there.
Next is Sonic Battle.
Wait. We're well past Sonic Adventure 2. What are you talking about?
Oh, not Sonic Adventure 2 Battle, the GameCube re-release of the last Sega Dreamcast game. This is Sonic Battle, a semi-3D sprite fighting game for the Game Boy Advance that takes place in between Sonic Heroes and Shadow the Hedgehog.
Wait, I've seen this game. This game has lore? And it's canon?
Well, yeah. It includes some big revelations about Gerald and Shadow's creation. It's honestly a huge part of Shadow's development as a character. It's also the debut of fan-favorite Emerald.
I've literally never seen this robot before. What am I looking at?
You've only ever played 3D Sonic games, haven't you? That explains why you think most Sonic games in the mid-2000s are so bad. No wonder your audience hounded you in your first Sonic video. Anywho, in Sonic Battle, a mysterious voice tells Shadow to not allow a so-called strong power to exist. This prompts him to go investigate an Eggman base where he finds the voice's source, the Gizoid, an ancient weapon of mass destruction. Rouge is there and lets her tag along. He's mostly doing this to satisfy his curiosity at this point, so True Neutral.
Shadow heads to Emerald Town where he finds Sonic and the Gizoid, later dubbed Emerald. Oh, I said that name in an earlier ding. Oh, that's what that was. Following yet another misunderstanding, the two Hedgehogs fight. Shadow loses due to his weakened state and then leaves, but not before asking Sonic not to let Eggman get a hold of Emerald. Shadow seems to be acting with a sense of responsibility to prevent a catastrophe here, so let's go with lawful neutral.
Later, Shadow encounters Sonic and Emerald again and realizes Emerald only needs one more Chaos Emerald to awaken his full power, which could destroy the world. Sonic argues that Emerald wouldn't do that, compared the Gizoid's ultimate weapon status to Shadow's own. Shadow brushes off these arguments, prioritizing caution over trust. Frustrated, Sonic gives up and decides to trust both Shadow and Emerald's good hearts. This gambit works, as Shadow doesn't eliminate Emerald on the spot. Shadow's actions earn him a lawful neutral for putting the planet's safety first, but also a neutral good for sparing Emerald despite the potential risk.
Shadow and Emerald are confronted and defeated by Chaos Gamma in Central City. As Gamma lay incapacitated, wishing only for destruction, Shadow reflects on the grim reality of their existence, reminding Gamma that such a fate is the fate of weapons of war. Focusing on purpose over emotion is very lawful neutral. Later at Gimme Shelter, they encounter Rouge, who reveals the truth about Shadow and Emerald's origins. She explains that Gerald was uninterested in creating weapons of war and gave Shadow a soul identical to Maria's, wishing for him to embody peace despite humanity's flaws. How he does that with science is anyone's guess. However, Shadow doesn't seem to be accepting of Gerald's intentions for himself, so we're gonna give him a true neutral.
Shadow then sacrifices his Chaos Emerald and uses Gerald's code to free Emerald from Eggman's control. By doing so, he empowers Emerald to bring hope to humanity. The code phrase Gerald implanted in him to become an ordinary robot and ensuring Eggman can't control him. Lawful good.
Emerald and Shadow spar later to see who's stronger. About halfway through, Emerald asks to see his friends, which Shadow lets him have. Their fight restarts with Sonic joining in, and yet Emerald wins. Emerald thanks Sonic and the others for raising him up. Though Shadow, still thinking that a weapon having feelings is ridiculous, leaves him with a frown. Neutral good for letting Emerald have time with his friends, and true neutral for this odd bias against Emerald here that'll, I guess, make sense later.
Shadow joins Sonic and the others as they watch Emerald face off against Dr. Eggman on the Death Egg. However, when Emerald goes haywire and takes control of the final Egg Blaster, Shadow views this as the result of humanity's greed and ignorance. With Sonic unable to stop Emerald using the Master Emerald, Shadow observes as Sonic boards the Death Egg and destroys Emerald, saving the world. Witnessing Emerald's self-termination, Shadow reflects on it as Gerald's failsafe for rogue weapons. Falling deeper into your deep-rooted pragmatism and orderly view of weapons and their purpose is lawful neutral.
Oh, thank God we're back to a game I've played. Just wish that it was a good one.
Yeah, really, everything went edgy around this time, but looking back, the game has weirdly aged better now that we're in this post irony stage of pretending edgy games are dumb. Shadow with weapon and vehicle combat is a novel and fun direction for the series and gives this game and Shadow a unique identity. Combine that with multiple storyline routes and unique powers we won't see emerge again for another decade, the game is actually a little better than you remember.
I'm totally willing to budge on that, actually. Although I think the biggest upgrade in this game was better animations. Shadow actually looks fantastic in this, but we are getting lost in the weeds here. In Shadow the Hedgehog, Shadow at this point is trying to figure himself out and understand his memories. He's so engrossed that a literal alien invasion happens in front of him, and he just doesn't care.
Shadow, it's me, the devil. I'm here to convince you to do sin. Come with me. Steal candy from babies and small businesses. I'm not talking about Walmart.
Until an alien called Black Doom arrives to tell him about the promised day. Shadow realizes that the emeralds might be the key to figuring out who he really is and goes after them.
Promise time. Time to go and fulfill this promise.
Shadow searches for the Chaos Emeralds during the Black Arm's invasion of Westopolis. He encounters Sonic, who asks for his help defending the city. After securing the first Chaos Emerald, Doom's Eye appears, demanding Shadow kill gun soldiers instead. Shadow ignores both of them and finds the second Chaos Emerald on his own. Black Doom appears, reprimanding Shadow, but Shadow says, "You can't tell me what to do." This is very true neutral, but I gotta say, being blasé about an alien invasion when you had the power to do something about it really edges towards neutral evil here, so if you want to argue that, go ahead.
Whoa. I guess I underestimated his powers.
After being teleported to Glyphic Canyon, Shadow encounters Knuckles, who is fighting the Black Arms, and Doom's Eye, who demands he activate Temple Jewels for the Black Arms' power. Ignoring both, Shadow focuses solely on obtaining the third Chaos Emerald before heading to Prison Island. I feel more comfortable giving Shadow a true neutral here, as people aren't dying around him.
What?
Shadow teleports to Prison Island using Chaos Control, seeking another emerald. Flashbacks of his imprisonment surfaces, raising questions about his past. Doom's Eye orders him to destroy the military, while Charmy B asks for help locating secret discs. I'm sorry, every time I like Charmy, it's just every time his name comes up on a script just with his name and text. Fueled by his regained memories, Shadow chooses to attack Gun out of vengeance for his captivity. While understandable, is still chaotic evil.
What's going on with me? I can't get these images out of my mind.
Shadow introspects about his identity while wandering through the forest, only for Black Doom to manipulate his memories with an illusion of the space colony Ark raid, which he is able to relive. On the Ark, Maria asks Shadow to rescue injured researchers, while Doom's Eye urges him to kill invading gun soldiers. Shadow chooses to help Maria, saving the researchers and earning himself a lawful good. But afterwards, he faces Gun's heavy dog mech and is reminded of Maria's senseless death. Enraged by humanity's cruelty, Shadow destroys the machine, chaotic neutral.
Those androids, the ones that look like me, am I?
Yes.
Okay, this is a Nat 1 plot point, as it has no reason to happen, and the only thing that makes it canon is a line of dialogue 10 minutes into the final fight. Anyway, Shadow uses Chaos Control to enter Iron Jungle, landing among Shadow androids while overhearing Eggman lecturing them. As Eggman retreats after losses to the Black Arms, he is pursued by gun forces led by Omega, who seeks Shadow's help in taking down the Egg Balloon. Shadow sides with Omega here, taking down the balloon. See, Shadow is helping Omega destroy Eggman's robots instead of just going and asking Eggman directly. So, delaying his own desires to help out a friend getting some vengeance is chaotic good.
Shadow then teleports to the Eclipse Cannon area of the Ark, frustrated by his fragmented memories and conflicting accounts of who he is. There he confronts the Gun commander, who reveals his past connections to the Ark and Maria. After dodging the commander's attack, Shadow promises to face justice as he's truly responsible for the Ark's tragedy. Very lawful neutral.
Finally, I've got all the Chaos Emeralds.
You ungrateful little pest.
Shadow navigates the collapsing Ark and encounters Doom's Eye, who demands he retrieve a Chaos Emerald from the power plant. Instead, Shadow meets Vector, who is searching for the Ark's computer system. Shadow decides to grab the emerald, fighting Eggman but not killing him. True neutral.
Ignorant fools. We're here to save the humans from their own demise.
On the Black Comet, Black Doom demands the Chaos Emeralds, revealing the Black Arm's plan to harvest humans as an energy source. After using the emeralds to warp the comet to Earth, Doom paralyzes everyone with gas, leaving them to be devoured by larvae. Immune due to the shared blood, Shadow resists, resolves to destroy Black Doom, and vows to never be manipulated again. Chaotic good.
I will destroy you, Black Doom.
Shadow confronts Black Doom but is attacked by mind control, as Doom claims dominance over him due to their shared blood. Team Chaotix interrupts with a video of Professor Gerald revealing Shadow is humanity's last hope, and the Eclipse Cannon was actually created to destroy the Black Comet. Inspired by Maria's appearance in the video, Shadow breaks free, forcing Doom to flee. Shadow then uses the Chaos Emeralds to transform into Super Shadow for the final battle. Reclaiming your personal agency and choosing to use said agency as a protector is neutral good.
Only one thing left to do.
Shadow defeats Black Doom and uses Chaos Control to warp the Black Comet into orbit, where it's destroyed by the Eclipse Cannon. With the world safe, Shadow discards a photo of Maria and Gerald, resolving to leave his past behind and move forward. Neutral good.
Sonic 06. Oh, I thought this was erased from the timeline.
Yes and no, but hey, longer video, good for the algorithm. And you get less comments of people asking you to do it anyway, better for your sanity. Do you want to whine, or do you want to be a man and read the stuff you hired me to write?
This was inevitable, I guess.
You could say,
don't.
It's no use! Sometime later, Shadow is tasked by the government to infiltrate Eggman's base at White Acropolis to rescue Rouge. After clearing the outer perimeter, he finds Rouge at the gate, explaining he was ordered by the president to save her. When Rouge offers to explain her mission, Shadow dismisses it, focused solely on his orders. Interesting how Shadow is choosing to work with Gun despite all their bad blood, so putting aside personal grievances to help out a friend is lawful good. At the extraction point, Shadow learned about Kingdom Valley's history and the Solaris Project. When the Scepter of Darkness shattered during a rescue of Rouge from Eggman's attack, Mephiles the Dark was released, taking Shadow's form by absorbing his shadow. Understandably confused by Mephiles' familiarity, Shadow was sent to the future with Rouge. That's a neutral good for rescuing Rouge. Again. Wow, he does that a lot now that I think about it.
No wonder the Shadow Rouge shippers are absolutely feral.
The Shadow Amy fans are more feral.
Alright, how do you know this?
You haven't seen my Twitter timeline lately, have you? Speaking of which, do you know which two Dakimakura we sell the most often together are?
It appears we've gone through time, doesn't it?
Yes, approximately 200 years.
Alright, so this is the part where we try and untangle a bunch of timey-wimey bullcrap. Basically, in Sonic 06, there's a really bad future that's destroyed by the flames of disaster Iblis. Silver and Blaze are sent back in time by Mephiles to try and avert this, but unbeknownst to them, Mephiles and Iblis used to be part of one being called Solaris, who was split apart in a freak accident. Mephiles is trying to re-merge with Iblis, but needs the Chaos Emeralds to do it. In present day, Iblis is currently sealed within Princess Elise and will be unleashed when the host gives in to despair, and that comes about from the death of Sonic. So the plot of 06 is basically everyone slowly picking up on the pieces of Mephiles' plan, but being ultimately unable to stop it before it's too late.
Shadow and Rouge meet Sonic's team and explains that they need 2 Chaos Emeralds to return to the present. After finding the green emerald, they discover Omega in standby mode, but are unable to help him. Reluctantly, they leave him behind, lawful neutral. Sonic and Shadow fight off Iblis, and open a wormhole back to the present. Before following the others, Shadow notices Mephiles nearby and chooses to pursue him instead, chaotic neutral.
Why are you here? Did you ruin this world?
The answer is yes and no.
Shadow confronts Mephiles and learns from him that, in the future, Shadow was falsely blamed for humanity's destruction and sealed away. Despite the revelation, Shadow rejects Mephiles' offer to join forces, declaring that he controls his own destiny. Chaotic good.
It seems like Eggman's machines are looking for you. What did you do this time?
Shadow is mistaken for Mephiles by Eggman's robots, oh cosmic irony, and seeks the Doctor for answers. Learning Mephiles' origins are tied to the Solaris Project, Shadow agreed to capture him in exchange for more details. He then thwarts Silver's attempt to assassinate Sonic, fighting Silver to let Sonic continue his mission. Neutral good.
Chaos control!
Shadow fights Silver to a stalemate, using Chaos Control to overpower him until Silver's Chaos Control causes a time portal to appear. If you want more information on Silver's story, check my Silver alignment video that I made a while ago. Learning that Silver was misled by Mephiles, Shadow reveals the villain's true intentions and proposes that they travel to the past together to uncover the truth. Realizing the person that you're following is on your side and advocating cooperation to expose the truth is lawful good.
Hi, Solaris. Why do you refuse to listen to my voice? Elise!
Shadow arrives as the accident occurs, witnessing the birth of Iblis and Mephiles. Tasked by the Duke to seal Mephiles with the Scepter of Darkness, Shadow uses Chaos Control to trap him inside the relic despite Mephiles' threats about Shadow's future. Afterwards, Shadow and Silver return to the future, leaving the scepter behind, knowing its eventual fate.
I already know what becomes of it in the future.
Shadow asks Rouge to contact Gun to analyze the Scepter of Darkness for possible recreation. Learning Omega had cornered Mephiles, Shadow and Rouge arrive to find Mephiles driven off. Omega reveals that, in the future, he is reprogrammed to seal Shadow away. While he is shocked, the fact that Shadow doesn't blow up at this revelation showcases the amount of trust Shadow has for his friends. This is repeated later upon again encountering Mephiles, who gives his offer to join, which is promptly refused. Nat 20, chaotic good, times 2.
Mephiles merges with Iblis to become Solaris, threatening all of time and space. Shadow helps gather the Chaos Emeralds to revive Sonic. He then transforms into Super Shadow to join Super Sonic and Super Silver in defeating Solaris. There are a lot of S's in that sentence. Neutral good. I swear you're punking me. A 2D racing game developed in 2006 by a third-party studio for the PlayStation Portable is important enough to bring up? What is this, Kingdom Hearts?
Oh, funny you should mention that. There's actually quite a bit of parallel between Shadow and Riku. In fact,
oh, absolutely not. Save that for the post-analysis. I need to hit the 2010s before my brain collapses.
In Sonic Rivals, Shadow is lured to a mysterious island by a cryptic transmission from Eggman. After finding Eggman, Shadow prevents Silver from confronting him, assuming Silver is the threat Eggman warned about. However, Eggman denies sending the message and attacks him with his egg turtle. As he wants to leave this be, this is honestly true neutral.
Shadow receives a message from Rouge urging him to keep tailing Eggman while she investigates. After a skirmish with Knuckles, Rouge's transmission cuts off before she can reveal what she's learned. Shadow later discovers from Sonic and Metal Sonic that Rouge has been trapped in a card by Eggman, strengthening his resolve to uncover Eggman's secrets. Again, attempting to rescue Rouge is neutral good.
Shadow discovers Eggman possesses a card of himself, which Silver suggests the real Eggman is trapped inside. Shadow confronts the villain and learns it's actually Eggman Nega. Oh, what an unfortunate name in this day and age. He is a descendant of Eggman, planning to trap the world in a card. After rescuing the real Eggman, Shadow and Silver join him to stop Nega's scheme. With Silver and Sonic's help, Shadow defeats Nega and rescues Rouge. Lawful good.
But wait! There's more!
This had a sequel?
In Sonic Rivals 2, Shadow is contacted by Eggman through Metal Sonic, who requests his help. While following Silver and working with Metal Sonic, Shadow learns Eggman Nega, who plans to release the Ifrit using the Chaos Emeralds. Shadow obviously doesn't want this, so neutral good.
What? The Ifrit? It's awake?
In the chaotic infernal zone, Shadow and Metal Sonic defeat the Ifrit and seal it in its dimension. Trapped afterward, Metal Sonic reveals a Chaos Emerald, allowing Shadow to use Chaos Control to escape with him. Now Shadow and Metal Sonic are not on the best of terms, so the enemy of my enemy is my friend. Neutral good.
Control!
Well, folks, the World Grand Prix is at long last set to begin!
Sonic Free Riders, a third racing game.
Okay, yeah, we are admittedly getting into filler territory, but if you were doing a video on Monkey D. Luffy, are you telling me you would skip Long Ring Long Land or G8?
That depends. Are these games good?
Not really. And Shadow's only appearance in this side series is in the worst one.
You're on thin ice, Burner.
In Sonic Free Riders, Shadow joins Rouge as Team Dark in the World Grand Prix. While Rouge seeks the cash prize and treasure, because of course, Shadow participates solely to test his racing skills. True neutral.
Pageantry aside, we're here to win.
In the World Grand Prix, Shadow and Rouge arrive late to the opening ceremony, dismissing Amachow's complaints about formalities. Accepting the three-member team rule, they randomly add this number as their third candidate. Team Babylon and Team Dark exchange barbs. A lot of barbs. Throughout. Chaotic neutral.
I just feel bad for everyone watching. This won't even be close.
After defeating Team Babylon, Team Dark faces Team Heroes. Sonic praised Shadow's performance, but Shadow dismisses his opponents as no challenge. Despite E10000 Beta overheating, Shadow showed no concern and insisted on continuing. He raced Sonic in the final match, won, and declared Sonic would never surpass him. Chaotic neutral, but if you want to say chaotic evil because being a jerk to a robot for no reason, I wouldn't argue.
Hi, Sonic! Don't worry, I'll avenge you!
In the finals, Team Dark faces Team Rose, but E10000B began smoking under pressure from Shadow. After an argument about their treatment of the robot, E10000B was sent off for repairs, leaving Shadow and Rouge to race alone. After defeating Team Rose, they went to the Grand Prix headquarters unannounced and took the cash prize and treasure. However, Omochow revealed that they had taken dummy displays and would need to attend the award ceremony for the real prize. It's kind of weird how much of an ass Shadow is being in this game, but chaotic neutral.
Oh, well, everyone, I trust you found my Grand Prix a suitable challenge?
At the end of the World Grand Prix, Team Dark attended the award ceremony, only to be told by Eggman, disguised as King Doc, that they had one final race against his robots. Shadow and Sonic saw through the ruse, but Eggman forced the race to proceed. Afterward, Eggman revealed he had been collecting racer data to create the ultimate extreme gear and challenged them all to a race. Shadow defeated him, noting E10000 Beta smoking heavily. Metal Sonic then revealed he had been controlling E10000B, feeding Eggman false data and causing his failure. Despite his irreverence to the event and exposing the deception, he still tries to protect the integrity of the World Grand Prix. Neutral good?
I know this one! In this game, Eggman kidnaps aliens to use as an interstellar theme park. And that's really about it. In one of these cutscenes, Shadow appeared at Asteroid Coaster seeking information. Encountering Sonic and Tails, he gives Sonic a mission to test his ability to fight Eggman. Afterwards, Shadow dismissed any concerns for them, though Sonic interpreted it as a compliment, true neutral.
Shadow and Omega discovered Eggman's secret amusement ride and were joined by Sonic and Tails in investigating. At a lab, Tails found records of Project Mother, but Shadow was disappointed by the lack of useful information. When Omega questioned why Shadow shared intel with Sonic, Shadow remarked he was content letting Sonic handle the legwork, stating data wouldn't reveal everything. Technically, Shadow is prioritizing efficiency and defeating Eggman over his rivalry with Sonic, so neutral good.
Finally, something relevant. Shortly before the events of the Sonic X Shadow Generations game, after having a flashback about the events on board the Space Colony Ark, Shadow wakes on a cliffside. Realizing his recent experiences were a nightmare, he wonders if Black Doom could have survived. He assaults Eggman's forces at Hidden Base to reach a spacecraft. Rouge joins him and gathers intel for Gun, with Omega backing them up. Rouge informs Shadow the base is only a supply depot, however, but he remained determined. Protecting the world from a potential danger while screwing with Eggman is neutral good.
After Team Dark destroys a giant egg breaker, Rouge offers to take Shadow to a spacecraft if he promises to attend Sonic's birthday party, much to his annoyance. Oh yes, another neutral good for saving Rouge here. They infiltrate a gun base where Rouge preps the shuttle and reminds Shadow not to seek vendettas, noting Gun's role in his creation and sealing. Honestly, Abraham makes a good point here. Shadow could have just asked to borrow it, chaotic neutral.
Chaos control!
Shadow boards the shuttle and launches towards the space colony Ark. During the journey, he reflects on what Maria's future could have been without the gun raid, but stops himself, acknowledging that future was lost long ago. Resolving to focus on the mission, he reaffirms his goal of eliminating the threat aboard the Ark. Trying to move on from his past for the greater good is neutral good.
Well, you're missing the birthday party. I hope you're planning on being here.
During the course of the Sonic Generations game, Sonic's friends are holding a birthday party for him. During this birthday party, an entity attacks called the Time Eater, being controlled by Eggman and Classic Eggman in order to destroy modern Sonic and Classic Sonic.
Completely independent from this event, Shadow skips Sonic's birthday party to investigate a biosignature on the space colony Ark. He discovers that this signature belongs to a resurrected Black Doom. Pulled into a time hole by the Time Eater, Shadow learns that Black Doom is rebuilding the Black Arms and plans to force Shadow into becoming the warrior he originally intended. Shadow, obviously, ain't about this. We're still only going to give him a single chaotic good for breaking his promise to Rouge and protecting humanity. After a frankly excellent tutorial level, Shadow finds the fake Chaos Emerald that Tails used to destroy the Eclipse Cannon way back in Sonic Adventure 2. This actually comes back in a Nat 20 twist later.
While in White Space, Shadow begins manifesting Doom powers from Black Doom, intending to warp him into a controllable form. He reunites with the displaced version of Maria and Professor Gerald affected by the Time Eater's anomalies, and resolves to rescue them from their eventual fate. Shadow knows enough about timey-wimey bullshit at this point to know that this will probably have consequences on the space-time continuum. But that's a problem for future Shadow, while he's hanging out in a place outside of time. This is a very coppery-tasting chaotic good.
Yeah, sorry, but that Chaos Emerald and I have a date with a monster.
Well then, it'll be a date to die for.
Shadow faces Sonic, who defeats him and takes what appears to be his Chaos Emerald. When Rouge chastises him for the loss, Shadow reveals it was the fake he got from 2 dings ago. Told you that would pay off. Intending for Rouge to swap it with the real Emerald once Black Doom is defeated. This is actually a very clever move on Shadow's part. Prioritizing the greater good over personal pride is lawful good.
Shadow reunites with Maria and Gerald, but is confronted by Black Doom, nearly succumbing to hatred and corruption from his Doom powers. Maria calms his anger and allows Shadow to master Doomwing, his final power. Chaotic good.
The time has come, Shadow.
Agreed. Time to sever this bond between us forever.
After a very excellent 5-hour DLC, Shadow finally faces off and defeats Black Doom once and for all, rejecting corruption and manipulation from his ancestry. Chaotic good.
With Black Doom defeated, the Black Moon crumbles and Shadow loses his Doom powers. He gives Rouge the real Chaos Emerald to swap with the fake and reunites with Gerald and Maria, only to see them fading back to their time as white space stabilizes. Shadow briefly considers using Chaos Control to stop them from leaving, but Maria reassures him to let go, reminding him his friends need him and they will meet again. As Maria and Gerald vanish, Shadow sheds a tear and leaves. Nat 20 Gut Punch and Lawful Good.
Okay, not to kill the mood here, but...
Oh, what now? Are you going to call this cheesy or cliche or something?
Oh god, no. Nat 20 scene is Nat 20 scene. I'm not made of stone. This chokes me up just as much as everyone else. But months before Sonic X Shadow Generations came out, my wife actually made this wall scroll for our convention store. It's the exact scene. The background is different, but Maria and Shadow's hand position, their orientation, everything is exactly the same. Alex straight up saw into the future on this one.
You better send me a copy of that wall scroll.
Coupon code MyWaifu gives you 10% off on all YouTube promoted stuff.
Worthless. Don't show your pathetic face around me ever again.
Months before Sonic Forces, Shadow attacks Eggman's facility, wiping out the Jackal Squad and defeating their captain with ease. He warned the captain to never show his face before him again before continuing to destroy the base. I mean, they worked for Eggman, so Shadow was kinda justified in throwing a little shade here. Lawful neutral for working to take down Eggman, but chaotic neutral for dissing the captain because being called a loser here is essentially what created Infinite, a villain with Nat 20 aura, but Nat 1 execution.
Wait, was he that punk that got one shot by a thwomp in Death Battle?
Yep.
Shadow, this is not good. Hurry, get over there.
Rouge informs Shadow that Sonic is in trouble. Shadow, suspecting Infinite's involvement, tries to help but is unable to reach Sonic in time. Neutral good for the attempt, buddy. You tried.
All right, Shadow, what's the deal?
Shadow discovers a phantom copy of himself created by Infinite was wreaking havoc as part of Eggman's army alongside the phantom copies of other villains. 6 months later, Shadow destroys his phantom copy in Sunset Heights. Joining the Resistance, Shadow reveals the nature of Infinite's phantom copies, as well as his powers. He then tasks people with missions to bring Infinite down. Decisively taking charge and joining the Resistance is actually lawful good.
Let's go!
Shadow participates in the giant war against the Eggman army at Eggman Empire Fortress to destroy the Phantom Ruby reactor, being a pivotal fighter and supporting his allies. Lawful good.
Press our advantage and...
No, not another racing game.
Relax, we're almost done, crybaby.
It has 4 dings! Why do these nothing racing games have more plot than some entire adventures?
Well, that's usually because the side games are often the only good excuse we get to focus on characters not rendered in a primary color.
Our boy keeps getting cheated. In Sonic Team Racing, Shadow and Team Dark joined Dodon Pa's Grand Prix, racing against teams like Team Sonic, Team Rose, and Team Vector. However, their true goal was to investigate Dr. Eggman. Lawful neutral.
During a race between Team Dark and Team Sonic, Shadow focused on Sonic until Dr. Eggman interrupted as a special guest. When Eggman gained the lead, Shadow and his team temporarily allied with Team Sonic to stop him. Following Team Sonic's strategy, but better, Shadow and Sonic crossed the finish line together while their teams defeated Eggman. Since Dodon Pa missed 2-1, Shadow and Sonic agreed to a rematch. Competing as rivals while still getting the job done is chaotic good.
Well, Shadow, now that you and Sonic have finished your little ego competition, do you think we can address the real problem?
Shadow and Sonic later agreed to keep an eye on both Dodon Pa, whose motives were unclear, and Eggman. While Shadow learned that they were seemingly working together, the heroes decided to keep racing to uncover their plan. When Eggman attacks the racers, Shadow and Sonic compete to destroy the most. After Dodon Pa was revealed to be a good guy using the Grand Prix to develop philanthropic energy engine, Shadow reminds Sonic that they still have to deal with Eggman. Again, doing the right thing but competing in a friendly rivalry while doing it is chaotic good.
Let's slag these robots.
The heroes learned that Eggman kidnapped Dodon Pa and brought him to the final fortress. Shadow and his team arrived to rescue him, unaware Eggman was using the races to complete the ultimate energy engine. After the engine was installed in the Death Egg, Shadow's team defeated it in a race, but the Death Egg malfunctioned and crashed into the final fortress. Shadow really goes out of his way to save this guy, so yeah, lawful good.
Games, Doctor.
the murder. Sonic the Hedgehog?
Okay, hear me out.
Are you serious?
No, trust me, this is worth it. You're gonna love it.
How? I know for a fact that this game is a meme that has nothing to do with anything. What could possibly be useful to grab here?
Shipping fuel. Shadow, surprisingly, agrees to participate in a murder mystery party for Amy. In fact, he even buys her tickets to see a concert she likes. He even goes with her when she asks.
All right, fine. That's adorable. Give him the point. A few years ago on Twitter, one of those engagement farming accounts asked me who my favorite Pokemon and Digimon were. I responded and explained that Mewtwo was my favorite Pokemon and Black War Greymon is my favorite Digimon because I really like characters who dance between moralities and have complicated ethics that clash with the heroes and also come from unique circumstances. I love morally complicated characters and I like thinking about their actions versus their motivations. However, shortly after posting that little thread, someone below in my comment thread dared to suggest that my favorite Sonic character must be Shadow the Hedgehog, and I was furious because he was absolutely correct. I love characters that are complex and have greater motivations than just do good and do bad, and Shadow, being a creature born of both science and nature, was created with the intent of bringing about the cure for all diseases, as well as being a weapon born to bring about the destruction of Earth. However, once free outside of influence and removed from his planned destiny, Shadow just continued to exist until the need arises that he can choose to be a hero. Shadow rejects almost all outcomes that are predetermined or ordered by an authority figure, which, whether it be from Gun, Sonic and his friends, or even Black Doom, he just is cool when he does it. He's got a lot of don't tell me what to do energy, and I respect that. And I'm not going to apologize for liking a badass like that.
And it's not like Shadow can trust anyone else to use his power either. After 4 decades of betrayals, constant mindforkery, and his inability to trust his own senses and even memories, he's kinda got some trust issues. Guaranteed if some scientist came up to him and offered to utilize his immortality gene to save people, Shadow would naturally be skeptical. Who knows if this person would be telling the truth? Also, I'm gonna address the too edgy to be good allegations here. Shadow the Hedgehog and characters like him are an archetype of character that exists in fiction, not because they hate everything, but because they once loved so hard that their love turned to ash in their mouths. Shadow isn't full of rage as a teen angst against the world representation. Shadow is pissed off because the world is against him. There's a sincerity to him that's missing from a lot of fiction nowadays. Stories are too afraid to indulge in uncomfortable emotions without including irony or sarcasm. They want to be seen as smart and don't want to be seen as cringe. It's easy to make fun of someone like Shadow. So easy, it's lazy.
You make fun of Shadow the Hedgehog because it's cheap and easy. We make fun of Shadow the Hedgehog because we love him. We are not the same.
Shadow's past is one of the most interesting things about him, but we have to wonder if even Shadow is getting tired of his past constantly coming back to kill him. Admittedly, it is getting a little tiring that Shadow goes through like 3 arcs of him accepting and moving on from his past. He's kind of like Riku in that way. We've probably overturned every rock at this point, so I'd love to see what his future holds. And hey, if you want more Sonic-related content, check out our video of Starfire vs. Blaze, coming either later this month or in early January.